Welcome, everybody. First things first, as always, if I could just get a quick audio visual check, please. Let me know if you can see my charts clearly and hear me all right. How are you all doing this fine day, wherever you are? After a quick confirmation, so I know I'm not talking to myself and know that I'm not muted or anything, we will get started. How are you all feeling about the markets? Ridiculously bullish, ridiculously bearish. You just don't know what the heck is going on. How is everyone feeling? Eric, welcome. Everything's good. Right on. Thank you so much. Well, guys, Bitcoin has a very important weekly candle close on Sunday. And since I won't be around for a couple of days, I just wanted to go over some of my thoughts very quickly here. So basically, let's hop right over to the weekly chart. First things first here. Some of you guys may have seen some of my recent posts about this. I will give credit where credit is due. I know I always say this, but I do like that even this last weekly candle, the one that closed last week, the fact that we never did close a candle body below this support, we did just get a little bit of a liquidity grab, and we are currently still holding that support. I will fully admit that's a nice sign. I still have a bit of a problem with this, and that is because generally speaking, if we get a swing fail like that, I would be looking at testing the top of, well, basically, yeah, the opposite side of the range, right? The thing is, the range that I would consider this, if I was looking at this, just like I look at with basic market structure, whenever I'm looking at Stuber fibs on shorter time frames, longer time frames, whatever, you guys know by now the way I microanalyze what structure is doing is here we had a low, we got our little bounce, and here we got our lower low. So even though, yes, it is just a wick, this is a bit of a swing fail, a liquidity grab, a fake out, whatever you want to call it, still basically holding as a double bottom. My problem with this is that if we're going to test the other side of the range, if this is my low and lower low, this is the high of the range that I'm talking about. It's a smaller range. It's the micro trend, right? It's the current range that we are actively trading in right now. If we end up breaking that, I absolutely see reasons why we could shoot up to these levels up here. And honestly, I'm seeing reasons why that could happen. But I just want it to be known that understand that holding support here, this move may have happened already. The fact that this candle was a fairly large one, it did get fairly close to the top of the range. And I know on the 4 hour, it's a lot easier to see, but even on the weekly, the same structure holds, right? If I pull from the highest point between my low and lower low, pull a fib like this, look where we are currently facing resistance, right? We're not getting candle bodies closing above the 786. So we are still big time struggling with that resistance right now. Again, anything can change. The structure can absolutely change next week. Absolutely. I agree with that. But the thing is, what we currently have is we still do have this little downtrend with this structure here. So my main concern here is that this liquidity grab, although, yes, it was bullish on the shorter time frames, it would have been a beautiful play. But just since it's such a small little micro range here on the weekly, it may have already played out. That's just kind of my concern. And that's why I still have this red horizontal ray here from at around 89K as my lower high structure here. I do want to talk about indicators as well, though, because that is one thing that I am very interested to see on Sunday's candle close here, you guys. You know that this is basically what led me to be bearish at our double top around 110K. This divergence trend line on the RSI is basically what led me to, it was actually just before Christmas, I was warning that this was looking like it was shaping up and to watch for that double top. It's played out absolutely beautifully, but I've been following that trend line ever since. And yes, we are currently trading above that. A lot of people have been telling me that, hey, your trend line got broken. I'm still not considering it broken. And if you're wondering why, it's just because this candle body hasn't closed yet, right? When this candle body closed, we were actually technically slightly below. We're right about here. So know that we never had a candle body close that confirmed that we have broken that trend line. So that's why I'm saying that Sunday's candle close is going to be very interesting. I think it's very important because if we close something like this, at that point, I am willing to say that my trend line is broken. It's just that we do still have 2 days. A lot can happen in 2 days, especially on, weekend trading volume, especially lower volume with the Easter holiday, that sort of stuff. This could absolutely just get hammered to the downside yet. It could go either way, really, right? This is just something that I'm watching for on Sunday's candle close, because that will be the first time since December, or call it late December, early January, that one of my bearish signals would be invalidated at that point. That would be the first one. And I've been saying for a while, I think that will be the first one. And that's why I'm still very interested in watching that. My Wave Master indicator here, the MDX Wave Master, we are starting to get some signs of relief here. We're starting to get nice, big, green, bright, colorful support on this momentum indicator. Understand it can happen for quite a while, and I would love to see some sort of a bullish pivot or divergence, whatever. Basically either of these signals coming into play while we have this bright green box forming. That would be another sign that, hey, you know what? At that point, I think this signal has basically run its course, and maybe we can get a nice little reaction rally. Maybe even all-time highs from there. We're just going to have to see what happens. Basically, we just have to play the structure as it comes. And so far, that structure is unfortunately still to the downside. But like I said, there's starting to be those signs that there is a little bit of strength from the bulls. So I do like to see that. I really like to see that on the weekly chart from a bullish perspective. My main concern is still the monthly chart, you guys. The fact that we lost this order block, the fact that we have a bearish cross on this momentum indicator, again, the Wave Master. Both of these signals here, both just the naked structure with these order blocks, as well as the crosses on this momentum indicator, they have so far been 100% accurate in Bitcoin's history. We've only had about 5 of these structure breaks now with these specific blocks. Basically, this would be our 5th time. The previous 4, they have been very large moves when we have ended up flipping, getting that support resist flip, resist support flip, whichever way it's going. But they have been very large moves, and that's just naked chart structure, right? But then getting this momentum indicator crossing to the downside, that's where I have a big concern that, we're getting very toppy looking on this indicator, and then to see it cross like that while the structure's breaking and that sort of thing. I think the bulls still have a lot of work to do if they want to carry on this parabolic bull market that I keep hearing about. Again, very happy to see it. I would love to see it. It's just right now I don't want to get too excited yet, because I just still have a lot of warnings in the charts, basically, right? So gonna have to see what happens there. Honestly, the fact that we even dropped this support here, the fact that we dropped this range, if we get a nice bounce from here, if this was a 5-minute chart, you guys, and I know a lot of you guys know already where I'm going with this, but if this was any other time frame, obviously I'm not trading the weekly with leverage. But if this was any other time frame with this structure, I would be looking at something like this. Since we lost support and broke to the downside, if we got a reaction rally, some sort of relief, I would be looking at something like that to play out. Does it have to happen? Absolutely not. But if this was any other time frame, that would be my ideal trade setup, basically. So that's where, even if that RSI gets a bullish cross, we still have a lot of concerns. We just have a lot of work if Bitcoin's going to actually carry on with the bull market. But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be nice moves to the upside, right? Something like this, I mean, that's a massive pump, you guys. Even if we don't go to all-time highs, you cannot complain with a 20-25% move to the upside, right? I would love to see that. All that I care about as a trader, I mean, yeah, I have investments in crypto, right? My spot bags, while we've been dropping, they've been getting hammered. That's fine. I feel that pain with everybody else who's holding through this. But as far as actually trading and just making a consistent income with trading, I don't care which way the market goes. I just want to trade volatility whichever way it goes. So I treat my investments and my trading very differently, you guys. Like my investments, I'm very bullish on my crypto investments. I'm still a little cautiously bearish on my trading right now. I know I've been very vocally bearish for the last couple of months. Now is the first time that, I can at least see some strength in the charts. But as far as, even zooming in a little bit to the 4 hour here, we still haven't broken any structure. We have not broken a lower high on the 4 hour. We basically haven't since January 20th when the market topped. So I still have my concerns, right? We're just consolidating right now, and we have been for since the 12th. So for almost a week, we have just been consolidating below resistance. So to give the bulls some credit, it's nice to see that they are standing their ground, right? We are just tapping away at resistance, which if we keep doing this, it's only a matter of time until we do blast through. That would be great to see. But as it stands, we are still below resistance, right? I would have loved to see this, if this pump would have gone on top and broke the lower high and then got some consolidating on top of that level, flipping resistance into support, I would have been very bullish on that. But the fact that we're still trading below resistance, and the thing is, guys, I know everyone's very excited. And if we go up a couple $1,000 more, people are going to say that, you were wrong, Stu, and that kind of thing. But understand the 786 here, this is just the start of my resistance, right? Just like a 5-minute setup, just like a 1-minute setup, an hourly, whatever. That's just kind of where I'm starting to ladder in my entries. If I'm looking at this, like I'm generally playing shorter time frames, but as far as looking at this on a 4-hour time frame, this is just the start of my resistance that we're at. The Bitcoin still has a ton of work to do. We basically got to break at least 89K, where that would mean, hey, at least we broke the lower high structure at that point. The thing is, there's still the possibility of a swing fail, something like that. So I would say realistically, getting tongue-tied, realistically for myself, I want to see the price get above 91K. And yes, I know that's a little ways away from now. That's still another $6,500 US. But that is, as far as looking at actual swing trades and actual swing trade kind of structure, that's basically the level that I need to see broken to start getting bullish. And at that point, if we break that level, yeah, I would love to start longing pullbacks at that point. Whereas right now, I'm willing to, and I know it was about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks now. I think when we were right here, I was warning that, hey, we broke some structure, so watch out for resistance up here. If we even get up there. And we did. We got up to these levels, but that's a very predictable reaction to the market when you have a structure break like this where we set a lower low. Everybody celebrates because we see green for a few days, but the structure of this chart has not changed. It actually got worse because we set a new lower low there. And at that point, if this was any other time frame, or if I was trading the 4-hour or anything, that is where my resistance starts. So we have been trading right at resistance for about a week now. So, like I've said almost a dozen times on this stream already, Bitcoin just has a lot of work ahead of it if it wants to actually go full on bull market again. And it can happen, right? I've seen Bitcoin do some crazy things over the years. We could absolutely go on a moon mission and just shatter through all this resistance with one big push. Who knows? But the way I trade, I like to trade charts that are currently in front of us, chart structure that's actually there and has formed already, rather than thinking that, hey, well, there might be a bullish tweet or there might be a bullish announcement on tariffs or whatever a week from now, so I'm going to start trading bullish right now. That's not really how trading works, right? I would rather trade the charts that are actually in front of us rather than assuming something is going to happen down the road. And you guys, if you do just want to trade market structure, get a better view and just more examples of how I view market structure, how I pull my Fibonacci's, just some of my favorite trading strategies, no emotions attached, nothing about hopium or, just basically nothing about fundamentals and, that sort of stuff. I'm more interested in actually looking at the chart structure. So if that is something that interests you, do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code on the screen. There's also a link and steps in the description down below to enter my free Telegram channel. And yeah, like I said, I just like to share my overall thoughts on the markets and all that sort of stuff there. Just to kind of show you, I mean, I was very well prepared for this bearish price action that happened. Like I said, I thought it was very predictable. And yeah, just kind of showing how I play some Stuber fibs. This was a Bitcoin one that just played out. I predicted this about 2 days ago. I laid this out, and then yesterday we ended up getting it. we actually still have that same Stuber in play right now. And same with Fartcoin was another one that I had mentioned the other day. And yeah, that short played out great as well. Guys, another thing is BloFin is currently giving my followers a special deposit bonus. So you can get 20% cash back as a bonus to trade with on your deposits. So there is still a few days left. That runs until April 21st. So if that's something that you want to take advantage of, you still got a few days to do that as well. So, and like I said, that is for my followers. Anybody who is in the Telegram with me, you obviously have access to that. So you should be getting those deposit bonuses if, yeah, if you take advantage of that promotion there. Guys, just to switch gears a little bit, like I said, Bitcoin is still in the same Stuber that I mentioned a couple days ago. I actually played it a couple times because I ended up playing this one. We got the 786, hit my first two targets, and I just ended up taking another trade when I noticed we were right near the top of that range again. It was just very tight risk reward, so I ended up just re-entering it. We've hit the first target again so far. So this range, nothing has changed here. The structure hasn't changed because we haven't broke the high of this range and we haven't broke the low of that range. So when that happens, we can start pulling new fibs. But for now, that's been a very strong range for 2 days now. Hopping over, going to check a couple of altcoins, you guys. Solana looks very similar to Bitcoin. Okay, we have our 4-hour structure here. Same thing. We have our lower low, another lower low. That means the highest point between the two is our lower high. And that's where I pulled my Fibonacci from. And notice that the MDX ALGO master indicator with my auto Stuber fibs, it lines up as confluence. It is showing the same Fibonacci pull, so it agrees with me. So yeah, it can still get invalidated, right? But we are starting to get into the start of my resistance, basically. Basically, yeah, if the price of Solana can break this lower high here, then at that point we can start looking at longing pullbacks again, like I was talking about, right? But until then, the trend is your friend, and so far it is still to the downside. I can bring up my trend master indicator. Notice we do have a buy signal here, but it's a lower buy signal. So there is still an obvious downtrend. Like notice this sell signal here. Notice it was a significant, wow, that was a beautiful sell signal on the 4-hour. What did that end up getting? To where we are right now, a 44%. Where did it bottom? A 60% move to the downside. That sell signal called absolutely massive. But yeah, so I guess to go with that, we still have our lower sells, lower buy signals. So again, just confirming basically that, yeah, the structure of this sell signal, I mean, this is kind of where the pivotal point was, where it ended up flipping bearish there. So again, that just kind of lines up with my theory that that is the lower high. That's important on this trend as well, right? So like I said, Solana looks very, very similar to Bitcoin. Actually, I wanted to check on Bitcoin. Yeah, so the MDX ALGO master, the auto Stuber fibs agree with my fib pull there too. So that's beautiful confluence to have. And hype. I want to talk about this, guys. I actually did, I did end up losing a trade just earlier, just before doing this stream here. I was just looking at a typical Stuber fib setup. So it ended up being a 3.5 to 1 risk reward ratio, right? So whenever I take these Stuber fibs, like I said, the 786 is just the start of my resistance. So what I did here, and I actually did, I don't have a screenshot ready, but I did share how I was playing this, even though it ended up losing. Just to walk you guys through what my thought process was here is, we obviously have lower low, lower low. That means this is our lower high. Indicator agrees with that, my AI charting tools. So I pulled a Fibonacci there. And I was looking to ladder into a position starting at the 786. So I actually had 4 orders. And I ended up filling all 4 of them. And I ended up, my average entry, I think it was right, or it was just below the 1. So just below the lower high after I finished laddering in my entries. So the risk reward, rather than, had I just entered all in at the 786, if I got my full move to the 214, that would have only been about a 1.3 to 1 risk reward. that's actually not that great. But when I laddered in and I pull my average entry up significantly, I ended up getting about a 3.5 to 1 risk reward. So yeah, unfortunately, it ended up getting stopped out. But since I laddered into my position, that greatly reduced the risk of my position. It made my my loss was significantly smaller, because guys, if you're going to go into trading and think you're never going to lose trades, or that we shouldn't lose trades, it's not going to go well for you, because losses happen. The important part is being able to manage those losses and being able to tighten up your risk whenever possible. And that's exactly why I love laddering into my positions. And this was one of those cases where I took a much smaller loss, about half the size. Had I entered in the at the 786 with a 10x trade, that would have been about an 18% loss. Whereas where I actually got in, or sorry, sorry. Let me, not 18. Where was that? So about 13%. If I went all in at the 786, it would have been about a 13% loss. But since I ended up pulling my average entry up so high, it was actually only about a 6% loss. So significantly smaller, half the size, right? So not so much just assuming that I'm never going to lose a trade, but being able to control those losses is a very important part of trading in general. Fartcoin is another one that I was looking at. There is this super fib here. The market is bouncing quite nicely right now, so I don't know if it's actually going to get rejected here. The structure is bearish as long as we're below this basically 78 cents, call it. Invalidation of the Stuber fib would be up just over 79 cents, I would call it, on the BloFin chart anyways. But yeah, we're currently testing right around the 886 there. So again, an obvious downtrend here, but where would have our structure been? Our structure would have been right here was our low, and we got our lower low here. Highest point between the two is here. So that's why I have the Fibonacci pulled the way I do, from here down to here, looking for resistance if it's going to bounce. So the thing is, when I'm looking at this structure, much the same as hype, it's not so much that this trend has now flipped bullish. It's just the fact what happened is we lost the microstructure, right? The swing itself has not been invalidated yet. So there is still further. Notice I have another purple box up here. This one ended up getting actually flipped from resistance into support beautifully there. But that's what ended up making me take the loss there. But since this was basically the swing point of the micro trend, right? This was the most recent lower low. This was our lower high on, again, the micro trend, just the immediate downtrend that we had. Whereas now, since we broke that, the next possible resistance that I see would be pulling from where this swing actually reversed, right? And that would be up here. I don't even know if I should say swing, but the bigger range on the 5-minute, whatever. So that would basically be the next resistance that I can point out on hype here. Just because, like I said, since we took out the microstructure, I think it makes sense that we would retest resistance of where this down move actually happened. So that goes with Fartcoin as well, right? If we end up breaking this microstructure, it's had such a beautiful downtrend. I ended up catching actually a couple nice shorts yesterday in a different private live stream I was in. But basically the trend master indicator, again, we had those lower trending sell signals, and it was right around here that, since we were testing the indicator so perfectly, I thought I just saw it as a potential very tight invalidation, basically just stop loss somewhere in there. Just using the indicator to catch a bit of a scalp, but it ended up running beautifully. And we still technically have that downtrend as long as this Stuber fib holds. But, you know, the fact that we did have such an aggressive dump to the downside last night, I think it makes sense that we would recover a lot of that and get some sort of relief here soon. So I'm going to have to see what happens here. What else? Bitcoin, yeah, still kind of trading very close to my 0.5 fib there. What else? The 4 hour, I did want to check the trend master. So same thing with Bitcoin here. We do have that buy signal on the 4-hour with the MDX trend master. However, again, it is a lower buy signal and we still have lower sell signals. So yeah, eventually that trend is going to break, but we still do have it currently. One thing that I will give the bulls at this point is this buy signal. It's doing a damn good job holding support, and we're just kind of squeezing right now between that Stuber fib pocket and this indicator. So if if this support can hold and it can push us above this lower high, and that weekly chart ends up breaking that RSI trend line, I strongly believe if that 4-hour structure breaks, that we will see this break on the weekly as well. And at that point, I, again, got to give credit to the bulls at that point. I would at least be willing to be taking longs more so, being more open to the idea of aggressively looking for pullbacks to long. Because right now I see, and you guys know, I point out many bullish Stuber fibs as well, but I'm like, if anything, I'm taking a hedged long if I'm already in a short. I haven't been overly bullish on this market, looking for straight up long positions or aggressive long positions. So that will change as soon as this structure changes. So I'm looking forward to being a moon boy again someday, you guys. Don't get the wrong idea that I hate crypto or anything like that. I love crypto. I love Bitcoin. I use it every day. I trade it every day. It's just that for now, I've just been mostly trading the downside for all of 2025, basically, especially since the end of January. That's basically when I was very, very vocal about how bearish I was becoming. But now I'm at least starting to open up to the idea that the bulls are starting to show strength. But again, we at least need to break structure. We need to break that RSI signal. And I still have my concerns with the monthly. But again, we could get a significant bounce here, even if this was going to end up being a full-on market reversal. I know this doesn't look like much, but since it's a monthly, I mean, to retest the top of this range, even if we were going to remain bearish, it would be very possible to get a 30% pump to the upside. Is it going to happen? I don't know. We're going to have to see one invalidation at a time, right? Because that's what I've been very clear about on this channel and in my posts, is that basically the only reason I'm so bearish and still cautiously bearish is just because nothing changed. If something would have changed in the last couple of months, I would have changed my opinion, but nothing did. All that we got these nice rallies. Absolutely, we got these nice pumps to the upside. Bitcoin as well, right? Obviously. We got this beautiful pump. I believe I even remember seeing that it was a record-breaking day in the markets. But you know what? That record-breaking day couldn't even break resistance. It couldn't even break structure. So there's still a lot of work to be done there. But like I said, guys, I really don't care which way this market goes. I treat my investments much different than I treat my trading. The trading, I just care that it's volatile. And I love that the market has been so volatile this year so far. It's been great. So I don't really care which way we trade at this point. And that level-headed approach is just something that I teach, like I said, in my Telegram channel, just kind of going, rather than thinking about fundamentals and trying to overcomplicate the whole world economy and thinking that you're going to get an edge, oh, I'm not reading the charts right, I'm going to read the entire world economy and not make a mistake there. That is kind of the understanding that a lot of traders have. And just understand that the more simple you keep something, the more likely you are to be able to repeat that something. And to be a successful trader, you need some sort of a strategy of your own that you can replicate. Your eye is able to catch it. You are able to reproduce the same trade over and over. And yeah, they're going to lose sometimes, but like I said, controlling those losses and just being able to keep a level head. And that's exactly what I do in my Telegram, right? I just kind of go over the way I look at market structure, keeping a level head, showing some of my favorite trade strategies and that sort of thing. So again, if that is something that interests you, you're also got these few days left to get a special deposit bonus there from my partners from BloFin. So hope to see you there. with that being said, guys, this does have to be a short stream here. I have visitors coming any minute now, so I think I am going to log off. But like I said, I wanted to bring you guys this live stream real quick. Actually, I will go through the comments quick in case anybody has any questions or anything. Sorry, I got my analysis out of the way. But let me just go through the questions real quick, just in case anything came up. And yeah, guys, if you do appreciate my level-headed approach, just not trying to, give you false hopium, but also not trying to scare you out of the markets. Like I said, I'm excited about the volatility. I don't care which direction we go, but if you appreciate that level-headed approach and, sharing some of my strategies and stuff like that, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That goes a long way. And yeah, I love that you guys support me. Love seeing you guys on my streams. Really appreciate having you guys here. Let's see here. Looks so much like 2021, April to June. 2021. Oh yeah, so back here you're thinking. Yeah, so honestly, that's thank you for mentioning that, because that's exactly what I was talking about with that potential bounce if we do get some sort of a recovery. Just because we had those, there is such extremely bearish signals on the monthly chart, and the fact that we ended up losing support on the weekly time frame, just like we did back here. That doesn't mean we didn't get a nice big bounce, right? There was a nice big bounce. We even technically set a new all-time high. That's a beautiful swing fail right there. Just a liquidity grab above and then absolutely dumping. But yeah, that's a perfect example of, we could get a nice bounce, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to all-time highs. It also doesn't mean that we can't, right? Anything can happen. If that structure breaks to the upside, we set a new high. Anything like that. I mean, anything can happen. The market does not give a shit about our opinions or our feelings. It makes us very aware of that every single day. But yeah, that's exactly. And I mean, is that too obvious? That's one of those things that it's like, would they really do the same thing 2 cycles in a row? We're just going to have to see. But I agree with that statement. It does look so much like that time frame. Still in a hype short from Sniper. Pulled the fib from 1735. You pulled a fib from up here. To be fair, this is the BloFin chart, so if that price, maybe the wick is in a different spot, or maybe you're pulling from candle bodies. But yeah, if you're still in a short, hey, I do see a little bit of weakness here. We do see the Wave Master indicator did start to look a little bit toppy. The RSI dropped out of overbought conditions. Actually, I think I had a couple, because I entered I laddered into that short on hype, but I do have a couple other positions on hype as well that I think I left a looser stop loss that I was going to ladder into this bigger range. I just gotta check something here. No, I don't think I do have any hype positions left. I wouldn't mind getting into another one if we end up climbing a little higher, but we're going to have to see. This is one of those times with Fartcoin right now. We're so close to the invalidation here that it would be a very tight short. Understand that we have broke the lower high here, so it is very risky. But as far as a risk reward type of setup goes, basically Fartcoin is either going to break out or it's going to find resistance like right here. One sec. Yeah, this is one of those setups where I will basically take this every time just because we're so close to where I would have my stop loss up here. It's just a very tight invalidation kind of a setup. It's high risk. Like I said, we broke the lower high, so it's high risk. Understand that. But just from straight up risk reward, it's a very tight invalidation setup. And also keep in mind, this is basically a 5-minute or a 1-minute setup. So these types of setups do play out quickly generally. So I'll either be stopped out within a couple minutes or taking profits in a few minutes, hopefully. Let me just check my phone. Sorry, like I said, I'm expecting visitors any minute here. So I think I am going to wrap up there, you guys. If you did appreciate this video, this live stream, just my thoughts on the market in general, like I said, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for being here with me. And if you guys want more of my insights, because obviously it's easier for me to keep everyone up to date on my Telegram channel and just what I'm looking at all the time, rather than actually sitting down for a full-on stream. So I am always going over just so many examples of market structure, Stuber fibs, how I'm looking at indicators and all that sort of stuff with the markets. So if that is something that interests you, like I said, scan the QR code on the screen or click the link and follow the steps in the description down below. And one more time here, my partners at BloFin, there's only a few days left on this promotion, guys. So if you want a deposit bonus, you want to take advantage of that, that is still live until April 21st there. So hope to see you guys in there. With that, hope you all have a fantastic Easter. Stay safe, my friends. Good luck in the markets out there. Hope to see you in the Telegram. With that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.